Yes, I would like Ginny, please. Ginny started with CrossRef maybe 2 or 3 months.
About 6 weeks ago.
Yes, but have a great experience in publishing. Okay.
Thank you very much, Eleonora. Good morning, everybody. And thank you for the great introduction and welcome. Professor Razimus and the Lithuanian Academy of Sciences, you've set the scene very nicely for us with the challenges that all publishers are facing currently. So we hope that today we'll address some of those challenges and we'll show how CrossRef can play a part in helping you do that. If there's any questions or a point of clarification, please raise your hand and we can ask for a translation or further clarification. So today we will cover a little bit of an introduction about CrossRef, what good publishing means. We'll talk about the digital object identifier, reference linking, and we'll have a case study from VGTU Press. We'll talk about managing content on multiple sites, metadata, text and data mining. We'll also address the issue of detecting and screening for plagiarism, managing errata and retractions and updates, and tracking usage, and also talk a little bit about how to acknowledge funders of research. So CrossRef started in 1999 with a group of publishers at the Frankfurt Book Fair and created the Publishers International Linking Association, which then turned into the launch of CrossRef in the year 2000. So we are only 15 years old, just a teenager, but we've progressed the scholarly publishing landscape quite far in that time. So we say that CrossRef runs the metadata engine for scholarly content, originally set up to enable reliable reference linking. Services have extended quite far to include other ways of addressing the status of and relationship between all kinds of different scholarly works. So you could say that we are trying, our aim is to improve scholarly communication through community collaboration. We have 2 offices. Our main office is in Linfield, just north of Boston, Massachusetts, and we're also based in Oxford in the United Kingdom. And some statistics. The total number of participating publishers now is almost 6,000, which covers 39,000 journals. 73.5 million DOIs have been registered, and just last month 460,000 DOIs were deposited. And the DOI resolutions last month, you can see that number at the bottom. I'm not going to attempt to try and read that out. But that's just, obviously that's end user clicks, so driving usage to content. I want to talk a little bit about some of the misconceptions about CrossRef. It's not just for journals. We can assign DOIs and offer services for proceedings, for books, and for what we call components, which are individual parts of an article, such as a table, and they can be allocated their own digital object identifier. And actually, though that content type, as well as books, are the fastest growing content type that we have in CrossRef. I'll just let you have a look at those figures for a few minutes. A little bit about our membership. 3,004 members at the last count, and that's growing every day. Some weeks we add 50 new members. We'll certainly have requests. And they represent 5,500 different publishers. And you can see the scale of growth has been quite steady. And these are the countries where our members come from, so all parts of the world. And I just wanted to highlight some numbers of Lithuania there. We have 16 members from Lithuania, and I wanted to include some some other local countries there, so you can see the spread of our membership. And this chart highlights the clicks that we have generated through DOIs to our member publishers' content. So well over 1 billion annual clicks. Another misconception is that you have to be a certain type of publisher to join, but actually any scholarly publisher of primary content and that follows some of our basic rules can be a member. We also have organisations that act on behalf of members, so they would deposit DOIs and maintain metadata. And we also have a level of membership called an affiliate member. I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. Some of the rules that I mentioned: you must add outbound reference links. Current journal articles must all be deposited. And any conflicts, we'll alert to any DOI conflicts, that they must be resolved. And we do encourage people to regularly update metadata, especially the URLs. Some people publicize the DOIs before they're actually live, so we like to ask to not publish them until they're live. And the identifiers, we have sort of display guidelines of how to show the DOIs on article pages. Following those is quite important. And we also encourage our members to make plans for long-term archiving. And Kim from CLOCS will go into the benefits of that and the importance of that a little later. CLOCS, of course, is accompanied by some other options. Portico and the National Library of the Netherlands are some others. So, as I said, any publisher of scholarly works, it doesn't have to be a journal publisher, it could be a book publisher or conference proceedings, and any business model. We are business model agnostic. So many of our publishers are, of course, subscription-based, and increasingly we are seeing more open access publishers, and we are neutral. We'll support all of those different business models and any organization type. So you don't have to be a commercial publishers. In fact, 70% of our members are not-for-profit. And it doesn't have to be just English language publications, of course. Any language publications can work. And increasingly we're seeing not just large publishers, but really small, even just one-person operations joining CrossRef. And that can pose some challenges because they may not be XML experts, but we do have a lot of tools which we'll describe throughout the day to help smaller publishers and sort of non-technically savvy people take part and participate in CrossRef. So the benefits is obviously primarily to get persistent identifiers for your content, drive more traffic to your content and turn references into hyperlinks, and to also participate in other collaborative services such as CrossCheck, CrossMark, FundRef, and looking at multiple resolution as well. Rachel and Pippa will go into those services in more depth later. This slide, I won't go through everything, but those are the fees. We have 9 different tiers, so something for every size. And there's also a deposit. So there's an annual membership fee and a deposit fee per article. Some of the other services include a small fee as well. And we bill annually in December. Deposit fees are billed quarterly, and we can take payments through this online portal a number of different ways. So a little bit about our other types of members. So we have affiliates. They use CrossRef data, but they don't necessarily assign DOIs to primary content, and Bowker would be an example of that. So a database. And libraries can join to query our metadata. Secondary publishers, so abstracting and indexing publishers and suppliers also join. Vendors such as hosting platforms and link resolver services also use CrossRef metadata. And all sorts of providers of other tools, reference management and metrics companies use CrossRef data as well. It is free query accounts to query our data. We also have an API that people can use to build services on top of. We're seeing that used more and more. Affiliates may be service providers, so they can deposit DOIs and metadata or query the system on behalf of their members. So Aries, which is a content management system, also submits DOIs. That's one example. And for example, Altmetric is one of those metrics companies that also uses our data to include in their statistics. So a little bit going back to the numbers we have here in this region of the world. This is just a list of the library affiliates that we have in Eastern Europe. A few familiar names there. We can also take sponsoring members, sponsoring affiliates, and they are organisations that do assign DOIs and create reference links on behalf of other publishers. Yeah. So they would pay the CrossRef deposit fees on behalf of their publishers. And Wiley might be an example of a sponsoring member, for instance. So they assign DOIs for their own journals, but also for the journals that they publish on behalf of various associations, societies around the world. And here are some of our sponsors in Eastern Europe, the Association of Lithuanian Serials here in Lithuania. So I will just end with a thank you once again. That's just a very brief introduction to CrossRef and our services. And here are the number of ways that you can keep in touch with us. And I'll put this slide up at the end of the day as well. But we are on Twitter. You can email us, join our Facebook and LinkedIn groups. And we want to be doing more of these in-person meetings as well. So maybe we'll come back next year if you think it went well. So thank you very much.